questions.
Madam Chairman, I greatly appreciate your courtesy. Thank you very much. And Mr. Secretary, welcome. It's good to see you. Respectfully, may I disagree with you about a balanced budget? This is not a balanced budget. Our budget is $2.7 trillion. And I think all of us know that we can't pretend to balance the budget on the back of national defense, which you were so indispensably a part of in your service to our country, national parks, national institutes of health, national laboratories. That spending is all under control. Since 2008, it's been flat, just like this, and is projected by the Congressional Budget Office to be flat for the next several years, just barely rising with inflation. The whole budget is $2.7 trillion. The part that's out of control is the mandatory spending, and we need to work together to bring that under control, or national defense, national parks, national laboratories, the National Institutes of Health will be squeezed into nothing. Let me ask my questions quickly. In your confirmation hearing, you said that you would pay close attention to the individual fire review for the 2016 Chimney Tops fire in the Smokies, an area you know well. What's the status of the review of the park's response to the wildfires?
We owe you a report. We're late on it, and I expressed my priority to get it to you by the week's end, but we're overdue in that report. I've talked to Representative Poe as well, and he shared the same concerns. I have the same concerns why the report is not submitted to you.
I would appreciate your focus on it, because that was a traumatizing effect for the people in Tennessee and North Carolina. We lost lives. It destroyed half the economy of Gatlinburg, and we'd like your assistance in learning the lessons that we need to learn in order to avoid something like that happening again. On a more positive note, the department has supported and recommended the second step on making the James K. Polk home in Tennessee a unit of the National Park Service. The department supported a special resource study. It was in the energy bill that Senator Murkowski offered last year. I would think you would have especially special interest in it, because when James K. Polk was president, the United States acquired the land, or a lot of the land that's now Montana. So my question is, does the department continue to support the special resource study for the James K. Polk home?
The department's position on it is we follow Congress. We do support it and testify in favor of it, but it is on the parks. It's a congressional authorization, and certainly if this body authorizes it, we'd be glad to take it into our holding and go forth from there.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The Land and Water Conservation Fund, in the 1960s, the Rockefeller Commission recommended it. Congress enacted it. The idea was to take an environmental burden and turn it into environmental benefit. And for 50 years, we've tried to do that in this country with some spectacular success. In the mid-1980s, I was chairman of President Reagan's Commission on Americans Outdoors. We recommended permanent authorization of the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Last year, Congress appropriated $400 million for it. Should have been $900, but it was $400. Your budget recommends $64 million. I thought I heard you say earlier that you supported the Land and Water Conservation Fund. What's your position on the Land and Water Conservation Fund today?
I do support and remain supportive of the Land and Water Conservation Fund. As you know, when you drop from $18 billion to $2.6 billion, the Land and Water Conservation Fund is funded primarily by offshore. Is that I would like a permanent fixed Land and Water Conservation Fund. The fund itself, as I understand, has about $20 billion, and structurally, it goes from offshore into Treasury. Then it needs to be appropriated before we can actually expend the funds, and that appropriation process has not been particularly smooth.
Right.
So the fund keeps on building, and it's the same with Bureau Rec. there's money that was intended to do great things in reclamation, and yet that fund over the course of time is, quote, accumulated
Right.
About 18 billion. And we need to look at using those funds as they were intended.
If I may ask one more in my time, I agree with you about the permanent fix to it, but it doesn't help to have the annual appropriation drop to 84 million when it ought to be 900. I've mentioned to you, we're very proud of our western parks, and, we're proud of the Smokies. Still, we have the situation where the Smokies, which was given to the country, has twice as many visitors each year as Grand Canyon, Rocky Mountain, Yosemite, and Yellowstone, but has less appropriation and no fee, because when the Smokies was given to the country, part of the deal with the United States was there'd be no entrance fee. I hope you'll continue to work with me and others from Tennessee and North Carolina to see that the Smokies receives at least the same appropriation as the western parks, especially when its total number of visitors is twice as much and when it doesn't have fee revenue available to help. I want to thank Chairman Murkowski for her courtesy in allowing me to ask these questions.
Thank you, Senator Alexander. Appreciate the direction there. Senator